are. And we are live. Welcome to NBA Live Before Lock, Monday, March 23rd. We got a pretty hefty slate on our hands today. 4 games locking at 7, and then 4 more late swap opportunities throughout the rest of the night. We got a Millie out there today. It's a big day in the basketball streets. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow us both on Twitter at Josh Engleman, at Eric Lindquist. What's going on, brother?
I'm much ready to rock with this slate. I love the fact that it's 9 games. I'm a little bit annoyed that we don't have the Clipper game just because we're going till 9:30 p.m. Eastern time anyway. And there's 2 massive Q tags in that one with Kawhi and then John Collins getting downgraded. But I'll take 9 with a ton of late swap opportunities and the ability to maneuver our lineups based on how they're doing, because Toronto, Utah confirmed going to be pretty popular on this slate.
Yeah, just to get it out of the way now, the 2 highest owned guys in our projections by a mile. It's a clear line in the sand from these 2 guys down. 60% ownership to Sandro Mamukelashvili at 3,500. 55% ownership for $3,400 Jamal Shed. Everybody else is in the 30s or below. And that is because no Jakob Poeltl, no Emmanuel Quickly, and potentially no Colin Murray-Boyles. So lots of ownership here at 2 guys in perfect matchups, taking on a team that just absolutely blows. And they both have prices that honestly barely matter today. They look great. I don't know what else to say about those 2. 250+% boom scores. They look amazing.
Yeah, they look amazing. And then let's not sleep on the Q tag. Colin Murray-Boyles, there's things that open up there. I'm not sure that I'm going to go to Jacoby Walter after the fact, maybe a little bit 3,300, but I'm just looking at Sandro Mamukelashvili and it's 28 minutes of him, 20 of Trayce Jackson-Davis potentially. That'd be a thing. 3K flat Trayce Jackson-Davis, who I think the minutes are extremely questionable, extremely. But if you go way back in the time machine, where is it, to January 26th, I mean, he has upwards of 20 minutes, but that was never in a Toronto uniform. And so we have an opportunity for him, I think, to for once matter, for once to potentially be a guy. And it's Utah where you're kind of hoping to bludgeon their faces in. So Colin Murray-Boyles is out. You open up paths to Scotty Barnes at the 5, but more than likely it just becomes Sandro and Jackson Davis, and 3K flat for him is something to just kind of keep your eye on because we have so much good chalk. You brought it up. I don't think Sandro's unavoidable. Shed is unavoidable, but there's a world where I would actually be all right playing a 3K Trayce Jackson-Davis in addition to Barrett, small forward, which doesn't matter as much. I brought it up before. There was no real pronounced chalk. Even RJ Barrett wasn't crazy popular relative to other positions, but he's going to look fine. And Scotty Barnes looks exceptional. He was the one guy who had a pulse yesterday in Phoenix, and we've seen him play backup 5. We could see him start at the 5 today if they want to really limit Colin Murray-Boyles minutes. I guess the freaky thing for me would be if you had Scotty Barnes start at the 5 against Filipowski, and we don't, if they go put Jacoby Walter in and play him at small forward, I think you're running into Sandro being very, very, very owned, no matter what. And I think you have to take that optimal percentage down a little bit. But yeah, I think that Colin Murray-Boyles Q tag makes that game very appealing for late swap because people won't be paying attention enough to it.
Maybe they'll just start the former number 1 overall draft pick Markelle Fultz today. Maybe they can do that.
Don't do that.
Shout out to the Toronto Raptors.
Good God Almighty.
Yeah.
What are we doing? What are we actually doing?
Anyway, just saying that.
He's not even in the pool, is he? He's not even in the DK pool.
No, he got signed today. He's just fun to talk about overall. The Trayce Jackson-Davis shout, though, is very real if we happen to lose Colin Murray-Boyles. Now, he doesn't have to get a ton of minutes. Like you mentioned, they could obviously go to Barnes, but Trayce Jackson-Davis could also close this game at the 5. And Scotty Barnes doesn't play the 5 because it doesn't matter if he plays the 5. And if you can get 18 to 20 minutes out of Trayce Jackson-Davis at flat 3K, that is a really, really good price. The problem is he's probably, no matter what happens, he's probably never going to look better than Mamu. And that becomes the interesting conversation. Well, what do you do with both of them?
That's what I said. I think it opens paths to playing both of them. I think the push and pull of this slate is what you do with Wemby to me, because we're going to lose a center spot in a lot of lineups then. Like, I really like Wemby as your spend up, but he's 30% owned as is. And if you knew you were going to get Colin Murray-Boyles out before that, there's paths to playing both of them and then just paying up at other positions. You can't reverse engineer your lineups after the fact to account for new news. So like Luka, I'm going to be over the field on. Wemby, right now I'm over the field on, but like I'd be okay trimming some of that. We have Paulo Banchero, who looks exceptional today as well. That was a guy that I'm probably never going into this slate at power forward only and not playing a little bit of. You can play him, Barnes pretty easily together. But yeah, the push and pull for me is just what you do with Wemby not knowing that news. If we don't, which is kind of the expectation, it's 2 hours before. It's 2 hours before this, or an hour and a half before this game locks. 2 hours left in the slate, I suppose. But Sandro's going to look good no matter what. But it's not like we have him for a crazy amount of minutes as is right now.
No.
There's a lot of ways this starting lineup goes. There's a lot of ways that things can change throughout. So it's just having some availability to those lineup spots, knowing that like if you get stuck with some more Bryce Sensabaugh than you'd want, you'll live. You'll be just fine. Harkless is already a piece for just about everybody right now. I think that's also an okay thing to kind of land in more of if need be. But I look at that entire game as kind of what opens up your late swapping opportunities for everything else. We have Jalen Smith as well, questionable, which won't exactly hurt anything to potentially get more value influxed. But as it stands right now, I feel very good about being overweight to Luka at his current ownership. I feel very good about some of the small forward usage, considering it's just RJ Barrett. I should be okay no matter what, being able to get to that. But Wemby is, I think, kind of the question mark of what I want to do with everything today.
Do we want to just go straight to the center conversation? Because I think it's fascinating. It's one of the things that I actually dug into this morning on the strategy show, because I think Alperen Şengün looks fantastic today in a matchup against the Bulls and could potentially look even better if they keep hemorrhaging actual centers. I think Jalen Duren looks fantastic today in a matchup against the Los Angeles Lakers with no Cade Cunningham around. He's barely getting any ownership. And then obviously we've got these value options that we could sprinkle in, but there's also the fact that Victor Wembanyama gets to play the team with the highest pace in the league. He looks great and is a premier pay-up option. Where's your eye really going at center now? Do you want to touch on Wemby, or do you have any other guys that are on the table for you?
I mean, it would have been especially nice for Wemby if you had Castle or Vassell out, but it doesn't kill you. It's Wembanyama. Like that's really what it is. And he's 12 fantasy points higher than Bam as it stands right now. And I guess for me it's just what are lineups like without him? And for me, it's just access to a 3K Trace Jackson Davis, where I'd expect him to be north of a fantasy point per minute guy. I would look at Sandro, but I would want to have Colin Murray-Boyles out, because that I think is just like guaranteed minutes towards him in some capacity. I know he'll be limited to some extent, but it's not a lower body injury. It is a hand, I believe, for Colin Murray-Boyles, his thumb. So like, I think for me right now, Wemby, I'm overweight too. I said that on the onset, but like, there's a lot of news that can still trickle in. And like, if you remove Jalen Smith from the equation, you end up adding another piece of value where like Nick Richards is 4,100, and I would expect to play 30 minutes. He's played 30 minutes absent Jalen Smith in a lot of these places. So like, if we don't have news on Jalen Smith before that, I probably can't make that swap as much. And if we don't have Colin Murray-Boyles news, you have an hour after Houston, Chicago, we'll find that out. And you might end up not getting to the kind of lineups that you desire. So I think what could probably change for me between now and lock here is I just trim down the Wemby naturally, because 40% of him would look great. But I just look at some of these builds that would have Banchero. I look at the builds with Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, 7K. Like, I'm going to be overweight to Luka no matter what because of what raw fantasy points can do for you here. SGA, it's tough against Philly, and knowing that McCain's going back, we're seeing some really inflated props on him there. No AJ Mitchell maybe helps a little bit to take some tournament shots at 1%. Josh Giddey, very tough matchup, obviously, against Amon Thompson in Houston, but specifically Banchero, Scotty Barnes, dare I say Kevin Durant, 2,800, somebody else that I think is kind of interesting for a couple of different reasons. And Şengün, like the center position you brought up as well, where Şengün looks good, Duran looks good, but I look at Okongwu too at like 4%. I look at some other pieces like Daniel Gafford at 5K, who's a little underowned. Like there's ways that I can pivot things around. Like if I have to end up on Gafford just to spend some of that money or to get off of insane Sandro chalk based on how some of my pieces are doing, I'm more than happy to do that. It's a Golden State team that doesn't really have the interior to deal with them. 8.5 rebounds. I'm seeing kind of his prop around there. Like, I think there's exit strategies, so to speak, with the late swapping, but it all revolves around Wemby because he is the sole guy at center. He is the sole guy that is projected north of 50. He's the sole guy that, like, in a perfect world, I'd play a ton of him and Luka and just have a ton of value rotating around elsewhere, but I don't want to get stuck holding the bag. So yeah, it's a fun slate purely for that aspect. And I think more than likely I'll hard cap Victor Wembanyama in the Sims at some point if we don't have that news.
Wemby is in our optimal right now with Paolo Banchero as your alternative pay up option. If you lock both Luka and Wemby, let's see what you give up. At the moment, you give up 7 fantasy points. Realistically, that probably holds for the most part because while Mamu can become more efficient, unfortunately, if Colin Murray-Boyles gets ruled out, there's no way to like get extra value out of that because of Wemby, because you can't get the Trace Jackson-Davis piece. I mean, I guess realistically, he could take over Mamu's spot just for the money at that point. But you can get to both of those guys in the same lineup, and you're not totally cooked, but you are getting pretty close to the edge of giving up too many fantasy points.
Yeah, it's so hard. It's so hard because he's just you're giving up a lot there, and we have value that's just eternal at guard. We have eternal amounts of value that exist there, point guard and shooting guard between Harkless and Carter that exist on this specific slate. So yeah, the thing over the course of the next 47 minutes that we just need to pay attention to is how you're handling center, because I think the rest of this slate is pretty self-explanatory. You can find very low owned pivots. If you're playing in the 3,300 today, like you've got a lot of ways to go about it. I'm playing 150. I'm playing a lot of the 20 max stuff, and I'm playing a couple in the main. Like I'm just kind of looking at my game plan specifically, and I'm going to take some shots on some low owned guys. Center's the spot naturally where, like, yeah, you could find a 55 out of Şengün or a 60 out of Şengün and be in really, really good shape, but you're not getting early information to dictate what you're going to do. Like that game will have all of 45 minutes. Maybe he gets out to a crazy, crazy start, but like, I want some of that information at guard. And for me, that information is Luka, who I have 30% of right now. I'm just way over the field on him to get in some of those raw fantasy points and get builds away from Wemby. And that's going to be how I handle like my 5-6 lineups that I play in the main, and kind of how I'm going about strategizing for this slate for like what could end up panning out for you. And I doubt that Wemby's somebody that drops to like 20% of my lineups by any means, but you know, if I end up around the field or a little bit under, I'd be okay with it around like the 25% number and 150 max purely for some of the other things. But yeah, it's giving up a lot of raw fantasy points, and that's the freaky part.
Samuel Andre, just to help you out here, Javon Carter is currently the fourth most optimal guy we have on this slate. Yeah, McCain is currently 0.1% optimal. No, it's very much Carter. You could tell me you like McCain, but these guys aren't even close to each other.
Like Javon Carter's going to start today. Like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, he looks great. Sure
what are you looking at? There's no Suggs wish you hadn't even brought that up. Just people don't do that.
When they're that extreme, I want to make sure that information gets out there. People could have takes and all, but that's a decidedly big gap in optimal rate. The old 35.5 to 0.1. So I'm trying to help out there, at least a little bit. Because, no Jalen Suggs means Javon Carter today. 3,600, point guard, shooting guard eligible. Likely starter against Indiana. 33% owned, 35% optimal, 42.5% boom score. The third highest that we have in the data. Play Javon Carter. For sure.
There's no Tyus Jones to push any minutes. There's no like backup plan really for Orlando at point. Like Jamal Cain is there, but like I can't possibly look at anything other than Javon Carter being a good piece of value on this slate. And he's cheaper than Harkless. And he's playing on a team that actively tries to win basketball games. And, I'm not saying Harkless plays well. He's not going to get minutes because, like, I think Harkless is going to play a bunch. He's played 34, 36 minutes. He's playing a metric ton. And what?
Jalen Smith in.
Okay. That was earlier than I expected. One of my favorite plays of the day, I bet it earlier, posted the ticket, over 19.5 PRA for Jalen Smith. I was happy to just kind of get that in. And then if it gets voided, it gets voided. Very happy to have that ticket right now because he's going to play a lot with no Yabusele in there. I don't think he's off the table for DFS, but it's hard at center today to look at Jalen Smith and say that anything above 5K for Jalen Smith, and you've got guys that are 3,500 in Sandro and potentially 3K Trace Jackson Davis. Like it's a hard sell for me. Oh, we just got more news, limited to around 22 to 24 minutes. Yeah. So I can't imagine that he's going to be something that I do in DFS.
No, we had him at 2% optimal at slightly higher minutes than that. Jeff Williams hit us with a super chat. Playing one lineup in the Millie, would you play Luka, Wemby, both, or neither? I would be shocked if the answer was both for me. That seems really difficult to do.
Yep.
Do you have a lean after that?
I lean Luka because of the ownership and because of position. I think we have a lot of really Jamal Shed probably would be in that lineup no matter what. Luka, you have shooting guard open for a number of these value options, Javon Carter included. And I think for me, the crux of like where I think late swap could potentially show out for you and win you $1 million is center. And I'd be inclined to get away from 30% Wemby in that kind of capacity.
I agree. It's Luka for me. Half the ownership. I like some other center options. There's center value out there that could look even better. Wemby locks super early. I don't think there's any problem paying up for Luka. We've got value in places that make it easy to eat that extra 1,200. I would lean towards Luka.
Yep.
I don't like the idea of both. I don't like the outline of value in that scenario. Yeah, at least not right now. That could be a different thing in 20 minutes.
Chat disagrees with you for now, but like, you got to let me know about Colin Murray Boyles. Again, that's the late swap of this one. And, Greg will be on the live afterlock show. Hopefully that news comes over the course of that hour. So you guys have a little bit more to react to, and he can give you some instruction about how he's going to game plan for it. But how many years have we done these shows? 6 years I've now been at this company, and every show that I focus on in the NBA streets and NFL streets, and sometimes MLB, if it's like, if I'm between two stacks and I get more early information can really be the part of late swap that people don't account for the most. Like when you have a major piece of chalk that duds and you're able to kind of maneuver your lineups around that, like it's not just reacting to the news that you get. And if you're locking both of them in early, I think some of that value is very, very thin relative to what we've got in the 7-8K range. Cause like, it is really hard looking at RJ Barrett and Scotty Barnes today and not thinking one is going to absolutely destroy. And Paulo Banchero without Jalen Suggs, I mean, you go through some of the rates there. Life looks pretty good for Paulo Banchero today. I can't imagine that I don't want to be overweight to them or prioritize them over like a Wemby Luka combo. And, generally speaking, when you add more value to it, yeah, you want to lock in the raw fantasy points, but the two together right now is not something that I would be doing in one lineup.
Yeah. Rich F, last man in, Barrett or Bailey for the Millie. So I don't know what the rest of the lineup looked like, which matters here, but these guys aren't even on the same tier. RJ Barrett is currently 26% optimal. Ace Bailey is 3. Doesn't mean the answer can't be Ace Bailey, but it's almost definitely not Ace Bailey.
Yeah, and do you have Bryce Sensabaugh in that lineup? Do you not? Do you have, like, what else exists in that game? Like, are you just basically, are you looking to stack it all up? Like, I can't imagine Ace ends up being the one I want to bring along for it. He's had an awesome last month and a half. The guy is shooting exponentially better. He is starting to improve in every facet on the offensive end. So I'd broken that down a little bit on Live with Lindy today, breaking down some of the pick'em stuff. But this is DFS. Price tags matter. 7,100 for him today, and being the guy that could potentially get limited if things are going way too well. They have more paths to eject on him and Bryce Sensabaugh than what you would want. And I think I'd probably only be playing one of them. I'd probably be looking at just being very heavy on the Toronto side with everybody else. But yeah, there's a lot of push and pull there. Straight up, it's not close. It's not even remotely close.
20 minutes in, 40 to go. We should start getting some of the 8 starting lineups that we're expecting to get during this show in the next couple of minutes. So hit the like button if you haven't done it yet. We're going to have Greg Ehrenberg here for live after lock at 7 o'clock. But yeah, this is a pretty big one for a live before lock show. 4 games locking at this time. We are going to start getting, I would expect, some individual pieces of news, a couple starting lineups that have some guys that we didn't necessarily expect. It's going to get pretty ramped up in the next couple minutes. I think it's probably in our best interest now to touch on one of the bigger things for today, which is the current status of the Atlanta Hawks. No Jalen Johnson for this one. Dyson Daniels, actually the guy leading the charge in ownership, around 25%. Kuminga and CJ McCollum both around 10. Everybody else in single digits. We just saw this last time out. We saw some minutes for Mo Gay. We saw the minutes for Reese Ashe. We saw those minutes for Kuminga. I think it's an interesting conversation between those guys, but I can say this. I really like a $6,600 CJ McCollum today.
I do too. I love CJ McCollum. He's the one who sees the biggest rate bump too. Like I'm a little confused. People aren't higher on CJ McCollum. When I talked about 6-7K guys, this is the team. I mean, there's 4 of them basically that we can roster: Okongwu, McCollum, Daniels, and Alexander Walker. In a vacuum, none of them are priorities, and that makes them awesome tournament plays. And so Daniels fits the easiest. He has the small forward eligibility. He fills up a box score in a myriad of ways. He's got, he's averaging 6.5 and 6 with Jalen Johnson, a majority in that sample. You're moving his lines to 13.5, 14.5 rebounds plus assists. It's a really good spot against a Memphis team that has no regard for humanity, is looking to play up in pace. And I just think Dyson Daniels fits in very, very easily. But the ownership's already there on him. And I do get a little bit worried that if everybody's flocking there, Nickeil Alexander-Walker becomes also interesting. Like he's the guy who probably ends up leading this team in usage. Maybe it's coming off the bench, but like Nickeil Alexander-Walker looks pretty darn good to me too, and not pulling any ownership in any kind of major way, 6%. But CJ McCollum, man, if you're trying to win a tournament today, and you're looking for like 35, like raw points, I'm saying CJ McCollum, 6,600. I think he's underrepresented. I know we've got a slight negative leverage going his direction. 0.33, it says on the screen there. I flipped over from my stuff, but I am so with you on CJ McCollum. He's currently in my single entry lineup. Whether or not he stays there is probably going to be dependent on what news we get in the next 35 minutes, but I like him as opposed to Dyson Daniels as like a 1v1. Now, what you're doing at small forward matters. So like RJ Barrett, that's who I obviously have in there right now. I have the Barnes, I have the Banchero combo, and there's actually a way that I don't hate it where I'm going double punt center and I go to Luka. And so we'll see if that ends up maintaining. But McCollum, I think, is just feasible with the price tag. And if everybody flocks to Daniels, we've got positive leverage right now. But I ran a sim, man. Dyson Daniels is showing up a lot. And that just has me kind of thinking maybe that gets an artificial bump. I don't think CJ McCollum at shooting guard gets any kind of a bump here. Like, I really do think that ownership stays intact.
Humboldt says, just got here, but it doesn't matter. I'm losing no matter what time I get here. That's the confidence we're looking for, Humboldt.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Let's also touch on Philly because they are missing a boatload of bodies, and we have one and only one guy getting any love for it. Yep. $4,800 campaign, point guard, shooting guard eligible here in this matchup against OKC. Let's just call it 25% owned, 25% optimal at the moment. We did just get a projections update in the last minute, so this might refresh a little bit. We actually brought his value down a hair, but okay. How are you feeling about campaign? You want any of these other idiots for Philly?
I'm going to take some shots on Justin Edwards. Nothing crazy. He's 5,100, and it feels kind of ridiculous saying that he's somebody that I kind of am all right with. But what does this closing lineup look like down 20? Like, what does it look like? And
probably a lot like the starting lineup.
That's what I'm getting at. That's kind of what I think is that, like, there's a chance you still have Payne and Edwards and Barlow. Barlow, I expect to be somewhat limited. First game back. We've got 25 minutes, which is pretty advantageous there. Barlow upgraded to questionable, now playing, and there's a large range of outcomes. I'm seeing places lower. I'm seeing places way higher than us too, which is terrifying. But I think Justin Edwards is interesting. I probably don't want to go to the Marion Beauchamp route purely for a couple of reasons. One, do we need 3,500 with Jamal Shed, with Sandro Mamukashvili? Like, do I need to go to that price range? No. And nobody else is pulling ownership. So I'm looking for an actual score. The guy who I think could put up an actual score, like we've seen Dominic Barlow do ridiculous things out of the middle of absolutely nowhere. But if you told me somebody else put up 40, it's probably Justin Edwards. And so it's purely just like an upside play on it. Like, VJ Edgecombe is so expensive now. I'm interested to see if anything, if anybody feels different about that. But he's had such big box scores the last few where at sub 1%, are we really even going to talk about him? Probably not. It's campaign. I think rightfully so. As long as he's starting, he should be the dude here. But I like Javon Carter more for less. I like the spot for him a lot more there. And so, like, I think Justin Edwards ends up being the answer for me as something else purely because of positionality.
I think Jared McCain's going to break the record for most people saying they like him on a day where he shouldn't be played and won't be owned. Or that many people are going to try to roster him today because he plays Philly, I guess. I guess we're going to find out like what the rake really is on a day-to-day basis.
I couldn't believe I
can't believe the amount of times his name's been in chat. If I wish I had some sort of device that could tell me how many people are bringing this up, because it's a lot.
When I saw 11.5 today, I just kind of laughed. I mean, there's no AJ Mitchell, which definitely helps. Like, if AJ Mitchell was there, he'd be at like 7.5, 6.5, something like that. I thought it was interesting to take OKC plus his points prop, but not anymore. Not when 10 plus is sitting there at, minus 160. No, thank you. Absolutely no thank you on anything that has to do with Jared McCain. You're all high. Congratulations to Jared McCain now on 5 threes, because that's incoming.
He might have that before the first stoppage at the rate this is going.
McCain lock of the century. You need to just unreg if you can. I don't think you can. I think everything's filled.
He's got the third highest boom on his own team, and no one even has a good one. It's crazy.
Jalen Williams back, bro. Let's stop.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about your boy Ty Jerome? Oh, Pascal Siakam available to play. Andrew Nembhard available to play. Neesmith in.
Good.
Toppin in. All right, so fuck the Pacers.
Where's Pascal? No. I just didn't want to think about them today, so I'm happy. He is a horrible click. He's an absolutely horrendous click on this slate.
Yeah, it would be
They're gonna
malpractice
go
if we
win it.
said differently based on what we have on the screen.
Yeah, they'd probably fire us on the spot. So that's a no from me, dog.
Magic will start Carter, Bain, De Silva, Banchero, Carter Jr. Yeah, his dad and son are playing. Carter and Carter Jr.
X Swaggy Pete, I hope you just turn this on because I talked about that for probably half an hour. We're already 30 minutes into this show. I bet 20 of it was devoted to Colin Murray Boyle's Q tag. Like legitimately 20 of it.
Let's devote it to your boy playing 23 minutes.
Yeah, I'm a sicko. But Ty Jerome, fantasy point per minute rate, just out of control, 35% usage, out of control. Atlanta, pace up. Beauchamp is starting. Okay, never mind. Maybe.
Yeah, we just got two more lineups. Give me 1 second. Let me read these off.
Yeah, this is
Sixers will start Edgecombe, Beauchamp, Edwards, Barlow, Bona. Heat will start Mitchell, Hero, Larson, Wiggins, Adebayo.
Well, campaign just became very annoying.
Yeah, because he's obviously still interesting off the bench. Thunder will start SGA, Dort, Wallace, Holmgren, Hartenstein. Sorry, Eric. Kid just got here. Kid had a blowout and had to change his shitter.
Oh, talked about it nonstop. So Trace Jackson Davis, only if you get Colin Murray Boyles out. There's a world where you have Walter start. There's a world, I think Sandro is the most likely starter when you don't have Colin Murray Boyles out, but he's already pulling ownership. He's already going to be crazy popular. So for us right now, the main thing to pay attention to, the Walter piece and definitely the Trace Jackson Davis piece, because 3K for him, he's a good fantasy point per minute guy, despite the fact that he actually sucks.
Yeah, it's going to take a pretty sizable bite out of campaign now.
Well, Marion Beauchamp is shooting guard, small forward, and boy, does this aggravate me. I thought.
What do you think? What do you think? Are you more aggravated about this, or do you think he's more aggravated about you calling him Marion and not Marjan?
Probably that. Probably the second one.
Yeah, that's a J.
Marjan Beauchamp. I know what it is. Marjan, but it's Maria. I thought it was silent. Whatever. Go me.
No, it's exactly like it reads.
Oh, well, fuck me. Last time I thought about it was probably the day that Milwaukee started 5 randos that day. I can remember it very, very clearly. I reserved 150 in the main, and I was in Palm Springs, and I remember playing like 100% of 4 different Milwaukee Bucks that day.
Pistons will start the people that you expect, but I accidentally didn't refresh the page correctly. Pistons will start Jenkins, Robinson, Thompson, Harris, Duran. Lakers will start Doncic, Reeves, Laravia, LeBron, Ayton.
I expected Laravia.
Yeah. So did we.
Yep.
Only Luka Doncic getting love, which is not terribly surprising here today.
Yeah. Luka, I can't imagine I roster another one. Power forward, too valuable. Congratulations, LeBron, on defying 1, age, 2, every preconception about you being terrible later in your career. Like, there's so many people have been preying on LeBron James' demise at some point, and it's just never showed up ever at any point. And it's insane. But he is 9K on a slate with a lot of really good, cheaper power forwards, or guys like Paulo Banchero would just look exponentially better.
Langston Cole, last 2 in. The answer is Mamu and Shed, and it is not in the ballpark of close.
Yeah, they're not in the same stratosphere.
No, it's like 100% Mamu, Shed, and 0% Mo Gay and Trace Jackson Davis.
Yes.
So that one was easy. Will you please rank the Jazz players on DraftKings for tonight? This should be
Jazz Fructus for
relatively
Little
easy.
Fairy Boys. There's that. Let's do it.
It's hard for EJ Harkless to not be the number one answer here.
Correct.
It doesn't mean I like him, but he is disproportionate to everybody else in our data.
I like him. I don't have campaign to play, it looks like, in my single entry anymore. So probably going to be EJ Harkless by a lot. And then I like Bryce Sensabaugh. Part of the issue was that, like, I've said this multiple times, the guy has no regard for humanity. He just goes out and chucks and doesn't understand the assignment, which is to lose games. They went into Miami. He went scorched earth in the last minute of that game, hit a couple threes. And since then, they've been very, very apprehensive to close with him. And they probably don't close with him here. But 30 minutes, it's really tough at 6,600 not to see a ceiling for it. He's going to chuck. There are no Collier, George, Markkanen, Jackson Jr. Like, we know the list of guys that aren't there. I think the annoying part, like Kyle Filipowski, I can't play on this slate, but he's just doing enough alongside an Ace Bailey and, like, everything combined there. Getting one of those other dudes out, like, that actually do things would be useful. I mean, Cody Williams has now done things, so he defies life and everything I look at in terms of rates. It's been very annoying, but Javon Small ruled out. I don't think that's going to end up mattering, but we'll see.
Cam Spencer out as well. Taj Gibson available to play.
Good Lord. Welcome Taj Gibson to basketball. It'll be fun.
So yeah, for the Jazz, to me, it really is just like Harkless 1, Sensabaugh 2, Kennedy Chandler 3, ignore everybody else.
Yeah, I'm not playing anything else. In 150, I probably play a little Ace Bailey. The one small forward, power forward.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is you have kind of a exit route for RJ Barrett in lineups that are dead, where you could go up 100 and find yourself onto Ace Bailey if you really, really need it. But more than likely, I'm in the same page as you.
Willie Jenkins wanted to know, any love for Reed Shepherd tonight?
No.
I mean, just like a guy. I mean, he's the most popular guy from Houston right now, but I don't have matchups. Awesome, that's for sure.
He's just going to keep starting over Eason now, right?
Yeah, I think so. He should.
I definitely should. Eason hasn't hit a shot since Nam. Like,
do you follow? Have you seen his mom on Twitter?
No, I heard about it today for the first time. Somebody talked to me about it. I didn't go and look it up.
She's incredible. She's tweeting like, my son couldn't hit a Jordan Poole with a Draymond Green and shit. She's out of her mind. I don't know if it's real. I haven't confirmed anything. She's just tweeting like crazy now.
Now, I pulled up his rates over the last month. 14% from 3, 33% true shooting. Confirmed. Not very good, Josh. Not very good.
KGDR. It's about that time, I reckon. FanDuel by position. So what I'm going to do is, no, we could do it right now. I was going to try to sit on it for a little bit, but it's 6:40, so we can get this done.
No. So campaign's going to come way down.
Yeah. I mean, point guard is Jamal Shed, number 1 with a bullet. Only has point guard eligibility. No doubt about it. First guy in there. Javon Carter, EJ Harkless are going to get rotated through the shooting guard positions as well, but campaign fixing to fall.
You have DK on the screen, by the way. You have DK.
Oh, well, I'm dumb.
It's okay.
FanDuel, Jamal Shed, point guard, shooting guard eligibility, also still heavily owned, but can be played at shooting guard. My bad. Campaign, as you mentioned, will fall. I did click that. I must not have clicked it. I must have unclicked it.
It's okay. Beautiful words.
No individual, just like regular old point guards pulling away.
Correct.
It's Shed and it's Dyson Daniels as the breakaway point guards and breakaway shooting guards. At that point, you also bring RJ Barrett and Desmond Bane into the conversation at shooting guard.
Correct.
Small forward brings Scotty Barnes into the equation, along with RJ Barrett. It brings Paolo Banchero into the equation, along with Desmond Bane. So sets of teammates. Brandon Ingram as well. It's pretty much just Toronto or Orlando at small forward for FanDuel.
Yeah.
Great
and
times.
Jake LaRavia, I think, is more interesting over there than on DK.
Yeah. Power forward is Barnes. It's Banchero. It's Wemby if you want it to be. And then Brandon Ingram once again. Finally at center. Mamu's going to be your guy if you're looking for a center-only option. If you are paying up, that could very clearly also be Victor Wembanyama. After that, it kind of flattens out.
Perfect.
Perfect indeed. Sam Van Dam, GPP on DraftKings, 5,500 or less for a small forward. Was considering Edwards. We just got a projections update, so ownership should be coming in within a minute or two after this. Small forward under 5,500. Is probably Kuminga.
Tristan Da Silva, but then you're leaving a ton on the table.
Yeah. Kind of depends at that point. Kuminga's the best if you're trying to spend all of the salary. If you want to do something with more salary, then Tristan Da Silva is the answer.
Those are the two. Yep.
Yeah. All right. We gave you two choices. I'm leading into it. We gave you two choices for those picks at small forward, and now we will give you two choices for White of the Night. I'm just kidding. There we go. Nuke of the nighttime. Got to get the goods here. I have been ice cold with these picks. So redeem this one, man. Redeem it. Oh, updated Thunder lineup will be SGA, Dort, Jalen Williams, Chet, and Hartenstein.
Okay. So getting Dort, we're having Williams off the bench. That makes me feel good about the under on his points prop for Pick'em, but nobody cares about that. I kind of look at, Casey Walls.
Hold on. Say that again.
You said Williams is starting now. Never mind. You flip-flopped it. Okay. Well, fuck me. Cool. Great.
Just making sure you heard that correctly.
Okay.
If you wanted the correct information.
It flipped it as though you had removed him from the starting lineup. There you go. So he's going to be starting. Great. Perfect. Let's get ourselves very, very weird. I'm excited to watch the post-lock show because I do think Greg has a lot of late swap opportunities, a lot of great things he can talk about with Toronto, Utah, a lot of great things he can talk about with some of the spots that we're looking at there. But I will go back to the impetus of everything I had talked about where am I really going to do this? Am I really going to say Trace Jackson Davis? Is this really what I'm doing with my life? I can't do this with my life. I can't do it. Nah, fuck it. Trace Jackson Davis, if you get Colin Murray Boyles out, I just don't see how a flat 3K Trace Jackson Davis, who's a good fantasy producer, doesn't walk into 18 plus minutes in the event that you don't have him out there. I'd be very, very, very pissed to see Scotty Barnes start at the 5, which is something that is live to happen. I think he's still going to look pretty good no matter what. I did bet a small amount for him on a double-double, so I guess not apocalyptic by any means, going to get some CLV there, but I just look at DFS and I look at how can I extract the most money on this slate? And I think it's having that news work out for you and potentially having some of that double center action where it's Sandro and Trace Jackson Davis, or being able to pivot onto some Trace Jackson Davis and have unique lineups at very, very, very low ownership if Wemby ends up being a moderate option there, because, if he has a ceiling game, I'm absolutely screwed in that regard. So pay attention to the news. I'm going to put this one on you guys, but a 1% Trace Jackson Davis nuke of the night.
No complaints. I like it. Obviously we need a piece of news and it will look fantastic if that breaks correctly. We're kind of doing the same thing, just in slightly different ways. I also am going to the center position today. But it's not to the bottom. It's
Jalen
more
Green.
to the top.
Şengün.
Pick. Which one?
Şengün. You're a Şengün guy.
$8,400 Jalen Duren in a matchup against the Los Angeles Lakers. Just 7% owned, 7% optimal. DeAndre Ayton is sort of like the what Duren grows up to be if everything breaks wrong. You know, he's kind of like the wayward path, and I think maybe Duren sees it today. I think it's a great spot for Duren. I don't find the Lakers to be as interesting on the defensive side. Duren has every opportunity in the world to be more energetic and more active with no Cade Cunningham here, and typically DeAndre Ayton is not going to match that energy or intensity. I'll take it today on a day where he seems to get slept on for really good value at center, and Victor Wembanyama in a pace-up matchup. Give me Duren.
I love it too. Again, center getting different. That's going to be the path today. This is the way.
Yeah. If it's not Duren, as you started before, it's Şengün. I like both of them, similarly, but give me the half as owned Duren in comparison to Şengün.
One guy we haven't talked about at all, Wendell Carter Jr. I have no clue what to do with him. Absolutely no clue. You don't have Jalen Suggs, obviously. There's going to be an opportunity for him in some way, shape, or form. We got Javon Carter out there starting alongside everybody. And, I talked about how good a value he was, but people don't want to believe that, even though, fourth, fifth highest owned piece, whatever.
Yeah.
But if it funnels to Wendell Carter instead of like a Tristan DeSilva or Desmond Bane's going to get his, Paulo Banchero's going to get his, but like the other guy at center that I feel like nobody's clicking on, Wendell Carter Jr., and I don't know what I want to do with it here in the last 13 minutes.
I'll be honest, I hadn't thought about him really. Clearly a decent spot. It's got Jay Huff on the opposite side today. He stinks. Well, I mean, he can block shots, but
he goes and
not
tries
like you're worried about him.
For blocks. Yeah, fact.
Like, it's not that I don't like him. It's just I think he's just behind so many other dudes. But he does look really interesting.
Yeah. Probably he'll just be around the field when it's all said and done. But, I at least wanted to point out that I think he's an interesting early centerpiece as well. And yeah, just figuring out the Mamu thing, figuring out Colin Murray-Boyles, how that all pans out is such a big part of today.
Harkless and Kuminga or Gay and Sensabaugh? That's got to be Harkless and Kuminga.
Yeah, it is, but I think the Gay Sensabaugh piece is pretty interesting too. Just
what about the straight Sensabaugh piece?
How are you older than me? Don't understand. Kids these days.
It must be my wise, handsome charm that attracts the elder women.
Why are you Moge? I'm not Moge. Wow.
But I think that answer is Harkless and Kuminga.
I agree. But I do find both sides of that one interesting. And I want to at least point out that normally when we get a 2v2, we're vehemently against one side of it. So there you go.
Anybody that we haven't talked about yet that you need to talk about? We've got about 10 minutes to go before we turn this one over to Greg.
Ty Jerome.
Go ahead. Go for it. Ty Jerome, 7K, 9.7 fantasy points per minute this season or whatever the number is.
Yeah, it would just appear that I like Memphis more than the field does. I like Walter Clayton. I like Ty Jerome. We got Javon Small out. And the guy that was going to impact the most, you and I talked about it before the show, Walter Clayton. I think that there's a little bit more minutes upside, although when you play for Memphis, I think 28 is like the hard cap of minutes. Like they really, really, really want to find ways to not play guys more than that. But DeJounte Giroux, Walter Clayton, Ty Jerome, this is just a pace-up spot. And being able to go up against Atlanta, being able to have affordable price tags for the two aforementioned guys, and then Ty Jerome, where he's producing at such a ridiculous clip. He's 99th percentile EPM in dunks and threes. He is doing ridiculous things when he actually plays, and we know exactly how his stints are going to go. You're going to watch the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter for 6-minute stints, and you're going to watch him come off the floor at the fourth quarter, and that is the fantasy score you get at the end of the day. He remains 7K because of that. If you were ever going to get like 26, 27 minutes, he would break a slate almost just by default. The guy has a ridiculous assist rate, 35% usage. Everything is kind of in his camp at 7K as another one of those options where, as much as I'd want to play like Luka Wemby type lineups and kind of fill it in with value, this 7K range, 8K range, even Paulo Banchero up there, they all have 50 plus kind of waiting in the wings. And Ty Jerome, he's been the best fantasy producer out of all of them. And so like at 7K, I'm still going to be rolling the dice on 25% of him no matter what on any type of these slates where you get some of these cheaper pieces that people want to just jam. And I get it. I'm playing Carter. I'm playing Harkless. I'm playing some of these other guys. But considering they have shooting guard eligibility, it keeps Ty Jerome's ownership in check. I think he's just an awesome tournament option.
Got another super chat here. I think this one's pretty cut and dry. Thompson, McCollum, or Shepard and Daniels? Shepard and Daniels.
Shepard Daniels. But we talked about McCollum. We talked about all those Atlanta guys. Another group of 7K guys that are all phenomenal for tournaments.
Yeah. Like I'm a big fan of CJ. I just, not in that particular 2v2. Pharaoh has us with one here. Trace Jackson Davis and Dyson Daniels, or Powell and Mamu?
Are we going to Powell?
I mean, the first one, but definitely 100% not the second one.
Yeah, the Powell one is a wild thing to throw out there.
Yeah. The Trace Jackson Davis one might also be a completely useless lineup to you, depending on how this breaks. So, but definitely don't play the second one.
Agreed.
These have been the easiest 2v2s I think I've ever had on the show, because one of the sides of pretty much everyone we've had is like, absolutely don't play that in any scenario today.
Which is why I wanted to give the Moge Sensabaugh thing before you turned into a 12-year-old. I wanted to give it a shout out.
Well, I can't help myself there. That was just, I got teed up.
I think we know, Josh. I think we all know.
Yeah, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? We still have a bunch of news to wait on. We've got tons of lineups to wait on. Lucky for us, Greg Ehrenberg is going to be able to take you guys through some of those late swap opportunities, get some bets from the prop tool, get some bets from Odds Shopper, drop some bets on tails. He's going to be having some fun. He's going to be here in 7 minutes. So hit that like button, support him, run that number up higher. You definitely want to be here for all of it. All right. At the moment, in our most up-to-date projections and ownership, the two guys that are breaking free in ownership are still Mamu and Jamal Shed. The third highest owned guy at the moment is Paulo Banchero. Do we need to talk at least a little bit more about Paulo, or is this kind of just obvious? Like, they're missing a bunch of dudes. Of course he looks great against Indy.
He looks fantastic against Indy. And yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. I hope it's pretty obvious. He's the guy I have the most of early. I ended up playing right around 30% Luka, but I am way over that number on Paulo Banchero, nearly half of my lineups.
Yeah. Not surprised. Not surprised. Okay. This could be a fun one. There are 4 guys with legitimate 6.25x value or higher. Mamu, Shed, Javon Carter, DeJon Jarreau. Realistically, one of these guys is going to bust. One of these guys at a minimum will boom. Who's the bust in the top 4 dudes in value?
DeJon Jarreau, but I don't hate him. Not like he's getting clicked down ad nauseum. I think what's really hard is the other guys all exist in the mid 3K range. We've got them all between 24 on the low end for Sandro and 28 minutes for Jamal Shed. Those 3 are pretty hard for me to bypass on this slate. So it becomes Jarreau almost by default. He's the guy pulling the least amount of ownership. And I bet I don't get there a lot considering my Luka ownership and considering how much Jamal Shed I'm going to be playing. Ty Jerome we talked about. I think more than likely, especially pre-building Trace Jackson Davis into some lineups where it's like double center him and Sandro. Like, I don't have an issue when you're getting 6,500 of a center position of playing both of them, hoping for, the 25 plus on each end. But I just kind of look at Jarreau as fine by default, and Javon Carter. there's like a minutes upside beyond what we've got listed as well. I doubt I get to like 40% when it's all said and done here. I'm just finishing this last run. And how much did I end up with of Javon Carter? Yeah, Javon Carter, 40% on the number out of 170 lineups. That's pretty wild. So kind of talk that into existence for sure. Have not a lot more, 45% EJ Harkless. I think that makes sense, and I'm just fine doing it purely for the swappability. And Marion Beauchamp, 20% of him. That's a dumb number for a guy that I just said Marion again. So you're welcome. Marjon Beauchamp. Fuck me. Don't giggle like that. Don't do that. Hurtful.
Boy, Jorge said thoughts on Flag and Porzingis. I like Flag. I think he looks very, very good today, given the point guard small forward eligibility. I'm just terrified of Porzingis. Like,
I'm playing him.
Can he go out there and just have 2.5 fantasy points per minute while he plays? Yeah, he's that kind of guy from time to time, but I just don't trust him on a slate like this.
I get a little worried about the ownership because I've heard a lot of him. I got him at 15.5 yesterday for Pick'em. He's at 17.5 on Underdog right now. It gets a little bit dicey for me just for that. But it kind of came exactly to fruition like I talked about. I hate it. But I have 12% Wemby. That is a low number on Wemby entering this slate. But I find Sandro, I find Trayce Jackson-Davis potentially. I find a lot of those guys just kind of the appealing side of it. And we'll be swapping around. But Kristaps Porzingis has that power forward eligibility. Showing up quite a bit, but I'm worried about that number getting pushed. FanDuel, it's especially easy, but Kristaps Porzingis, I'm just fine with. So I like him more than you do.
Okay. Yeah, like, I mean, he looks like a completely reasonable play today, but like, he actually terrifies me. I don't trust that dude in any way at the moment.
Yeah,
RJ Barrett or Ty Jerome on DraftKings.
RJ Barrett, but I'm assuming if it's just 1v1, like Ty Jerome.
We have Ty Jerome projected for more fantasy points, so it's tricky.
Yeah, Ty Jerome.
They're obviously not the same thing.
I have a ton of Ty Jerome. Way more than I said before. Yeah, way more than I said before.
FanDuel GPP, Jenkins and Gay or Carter and Filipowski.
Filipowski
I don't
can't
particularly love either of those combinations. Filipowski's 3% owned, 5% optimal. Jenkins is 8 and 6. Gay is 7 and 9. Carter is 18 and 17. It's Carter and Filipowski, but Jenkins, Gay, and Filipowski are not exactly amazing today.
Yeah, I'm going to get these lineups in just so they're sitting there here.
Oh, yeah, get that stuff in right now. 2 minutes to go. Actually, a minute and 15 seconds to go until Greg Ehrenberg is here to give you guys all of the goods. Baseball coming soon. Basketball tonight. Light basketball slate tomorrow, unfortunately. Rude as far as I'm concerned, but what are you going to do? We'll still be here talking basketball one way or the other. It's always a good time. I'm excited to see Jalen Duren go crazy tonight as my Nuke of the Night pick. That's going to happen for sure. That feels safe. I'm going to finally get back on the good graces of the Nuke of the Night gods. I think that's happening. You got your lineups in?
I do. Thank God. There we are.
Okay.
Yeah, playing Luka and everything. Great. This is what could possibly go wrong when we already have eternal amounts of point guard value and you go to Luka. But this will be the day that he doesn't score 35. That'll be fun. Of course. Yep.
But now, guys, we have reached the end of the line where NBA Live Before Lock ends and Live After Lock rises from its ashes. Greg Ehrenberg, welcome to the show.
Well, it's not like it died. We just had the weekend, but should be an interesting one here because we've just seen a bunch of teams do weird things with starting lineups. Then, of course, you've got Colin Murray Boyles is questionable to play. That matters more than would on normal slates. And then I don't know if we're going to end up getting the news in the Golden State Warriors in Dallas game, but I know that Eric was talking about a decent amount. But Moses Moody being questionable, if he's out, who the hell knows what the Warriors starting lineup could end up being?
Steve Kerr hates us all. So hi, Will Richard.
That's true.
That would be the one guy that I thought about, but didn't really say anything about. Doubt I would want to get to crazy amounts on this slate with the other value, but no question that there's some upside options. Maybe Guy Santos just plays eternal amount of minutes, but yeah, it's going to be a wild one. You're going to want to stick around for an hour, guys.
Yeah, we will. We'll see what ends up happening here. So if you guys haven't done yet, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Eric and Josh, good luck tonight. All right, guys, let's start getting into it here. And right away, Malukar. No, I cannot see you. You're like John Cena. Can't see you at all. If you guys have any questions for me as we go here, the usual, throw them into YouTube chat, throw them into Discord. I'll be on the lookout for any questions you have over the course of the show here. And we'll see what ends up happening with any kind of weird news, which, you know, the NBA certainly always subject to. And in the interim also, we could go ahead and we could start building out some parlays on DraftKings, on FanDuel, whatever it is that you guys want to talk about. We could look at that as well. We could look at some Odd Shopper when the games start. We could look at what bets are in play. But first things first, I do want to check, see if there's any outstanding questions for myself from you guys. I see one from Caleb, wants to know how much Bane did I get? Well, let's check. I have like a pretty reasonable amount. I have 21% of Desmond Bane. Right around with the field. I think we had him projected for, was it 24% ownership? So I'm about in line with the field on Desmond Bane. No real stance there. Jetty, Kerr doesn't care about our DFS lineups. Well, no, but in fairness, should any coach really care about your DFS lineups? I would be concerned about a coach who's coaching a game and being like, boy, I wonder what Jetty HS6KX's DFS lineups are doing today. Most coaches don't really care about our DFS lineups. I would actually wager to say no coaches care about our DFS lineups. Let's see what else we have here. 4 questions, if anything. Emac asked the most old man question possible. How is the temperature in New Jersey? I don't know. I can tell you inside, it's perfect. Outdoors, who the hell knows? That would require going outside, which I've not done today. Indoors, perfect. No problems. Andy, baseball show Wednesday. So not Wednesday. Wednesday just has the 1-game slate, but there will certainly be a show Thursday. So if you guys are curious about Thursday, we have the early locking MLB slate. So it's going to be Lofty and Eric doing MLB live before lock in the afternoon. And then Josh and I will be doing NBA live before lock at night. And then for Thursday night, I don't know if you guys have looked that ahead to the schedule. I have to, because I do the schedule here. There won't be a post-lock show on Thursday because there's no need for one. There's a 3-game slate starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and every single game starts right at 7. There are no games that are going to be locking after the start of lock. So we'll have all the games going on at the same time on Thursday. So that's what we've got for the Thursday slate there. Mr. Goldman, Greg is a trip. Thank you. Appreciate you. Yeah, Uno. Chauncey may have cared. That's fair. That's fair. He may have been the one coach who was financially incentivized to care about your DFS. Maybe not your in particular DFS lineups, but maybe 2 or 3 people who cared about their DFS lineups. Let's see if there's any other questions here. Caleb, only if Greg became the head coach. I would only become the head coach if I could continue playing DFS. So I think there's extra motivation there then. And all right. Looks like we're Larry. Larry, will I be doing an MLB Sims vid? Yes. So, by the way, also, because people have asked about this, when are MLB tools going up? When is data going up? So one thing that we're waiting on is because we use props. The props market is one of the checks in our projections. So we need that to actually run our projections. One thing that's kind of crazy, at least when I looked this afternoon, not a single book had posted props yet for MLB opening day. Now, maybe that's changed over the course of the day here, but no, like I've got FanDuel pulled up here. They're just money lines. There's no spreads. There's no totals. There's no player props. So that inhibits our projections going up. Yeah, baseball starts this week. Absolutely, it does. There's a 1-game slate on Wednesday, and then we've got a full slate on Thursday for the first time. All right, here we go. Well, this is offensive. Thanks for your work, Eric. There's a lot of things you could call me. Idiot, ugly, moron, stupid. But this is the worst of all of them. Like, I almost can't answer a question when I'm being called Eric. What part of New Jersey am I in? Wait, you want my address? I'm not giving that out on the internet here. Somerville, though. Says he is stationed at the McGuire Air Force Base. All right, so if you're if you're serving, I'll give you a pass, but please don't call me Eric. That is highly offensive. Highly offensive stuff. Let's see if there's any other super chats here. Nothing else. Just that one there. All right, guys. Let's start to build out a DraftKings same game parlay here while we wait for. Oh, sorry. One more question here. Bronx Boy Rob 1v1. Porzingis or PJ Washington? I prefer Porzingis. So Porzingis, who I already think looks like I mean, there's obviously a ton of variance to Porzingis. I played a ton of him the other day, and what happens? He hurts his back, and if he gets dinged up, there's just no chance he's ever going to return. So certainly some risk involved with Porzingis, but I like the matchup against the Dallas Mavericks. And then also, I think there's a little bit of added minutes upside to Porzingis in the event that Moses Moody isn't able to play today. So I like going to Porzingis over PJ Washington. Porzingis is actually my most rostered power forward on the entire slate, and I only have PJ Washington in one lineup for today. So Porzingis pretty easily for me. And I see here we got the Atlanta Hawks starting lineup. It is Nickeil Alexander-Walker, CJ McCollum, Dyson Daniels, Mo Gay, and Onyeka Okongwu. So we've got that in here for us now. And I have a feeling that we're going to start to see some weird starting lineups could be coming out in the near future. But for right now, we got the normal Hawks starting lineup. Let's go ahead. Let's build out a DraftKings same game parlay. I've got a couple of boosts available here. One of them is a 4-leg same game parlay, and the other one is, well, it's a 30% all-purpose boost. So this is one you could use it for anything. Just the total odds have to be at least plus 300. So let's build the same game parlay to begin with. One thing that's weird, I don't know if you guys have it. I don't have a single boost available on FanDuel for today. I see Rich just threw in the chat. We've got the starting lineup for Memphis: Ty Jerome, Jalen Wells, Ryan Rupert, Gigi Jackson, and Olivier Maxence Prosper. Which, let's see, what was I'm trying to remember. Memphis's starting lineups are so different on a day-to-day basis that I can never remember what it is that we projected on any given day. But let's see, what do we have for Memphis today? We had Jerome, we had Wells. Okay, so the one difference is Walter Clayton coming off the bench and Ryan Rupert starting. All right, so what is one thing this signifies to me? First off, this is bad for the guards on Memphis because this is a bigger line. It's very hard for Memphis to play a big lineup just because their guys are generally small. But they're playing about as big of a lineup as they could possibly play with the guys they have available, other than Taylor Hendricks not being out there. I think that means that we're going to be seeing potentially slightly lesser minutes than guys like Walter Clayton or on somebody like Dejan Jarreau. So we previously had Jarreau in for 24 minutes, Walter Clayton in for 23 and a half minutes. Not to say that this is going to make them project for like 18 minutes, but I mean, obviously just Walter Clayton coming off the bench, it's going to reduce his minutes. But I think this bodes pretty poorly for the backcourt guys here for Memphis. The one exception is going to be Ty Jerome, just because he typically doesn't play a ton anyway, and he's an outstanding fantasy producer. You can see in our projections, we've got Ty Jerome in for 1.62 fantasy points per minute. So Ty Jerome, absolutely, go ahead and roster him. I don't think I really like any of the Memphis guards outside of him now, considering the starting lineup. See if there is anything else in here that was relevant. Yeah, Morgan saying, no FanDuel boost today. I don't know if it was some sort of error or if it had to do with them coming off the NCAA tournament where they offered a bunch of them. But usually there's just always some sort of boost that FanDuel offers. But we got nothing for today. Nothing for today. Let's see if there was any other questions here. By the way, the start time of the Memphis game is at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm going to build out a DraftKings boost. Then we'll come back to the projections here. We'll see what ends up changing with what we have for Memphis. But like I said, I think I feel pretty good. This is going to be like Ryan Rupert projecting for more minutes now, but he's not going to look all that good. We only have him as a 0.7 fantasy point per minute guy. Then Walter Clayton, I assume we're going to take him down by like a minute or something like that. And that'll probably end up with him being somewhere around like 22 point something fantasy points. He'll look marginally worse. That's what I'm expecting to happen with Memphis in our projections. But we'll see what Rich does in a couple of minutes here. First, let's build out a same game parlay for DraftKings. And we have to do, once again, 4 legs, odds of at least plus 300. So as far as injuries go for the rest of the day, we've got Kawhi Leonard is questionable, not on the DraftKings slate, but that matters a lot for us, or not that, but that's going to matter a lot for the betting purposes, is what I mean to say here. And then John Collins also questionable, Moses Moody questionable, Colin Murray Boyles questionable. Now, why that matters for here is the number one projected bet that we have on the board at the moment. It is Jordan Miller for under 12.5 points, but I don't want anything to do with this one right now, because in the event that, in particular, if Kawhi is ruled out, then Jordan Miller is going to be seeing a bigger role, and then this wouldn't look like quite as good of a bet. So I would like to avoid that one and see what else. Are there any kind of common threads for highly rated bets from these other games? We've got, all right, a couple of plus EV bets from the Blazers-Nets game. We could also build for a blowout if some of these are unders that project well. It is a 16-point spread. That's going to happen pretty much anytime the Nets play on the road. So we could go ahead and we could take some of the unders that project well from this game, combine them together, and hope for a blowout. We've won with that sort of angle a handful of times this year. We could also go ahead and look at Warriors Mavericks, although this is one that also we kind of have like the Moses Moody uncertainty and not that many great looking plus EV spots. And then we've got Toronto, Utah is another one that actually looks pretty good. And another one that we could potentially build for a blowout angle because Toronto is favored by 10 points. So let's see. Are there potentially... All right, so we got 2 really good... So the other thing we could do also is I think it could be a same game parlay plus. So we could actually do 2 legs from Raptors Jazz and then 2 legs from Brooklyn Portland. We could try that. See which ones look good here. Yeah, let's do that. And then it should work with the same game parlay plus function over on DraftKings. So let's presume both of these games end up being blowouts. In that kind of scenario, we've got under 5.5 assists for Scotty Barnes. We got him projected for 4.8 assists. Obviously, if it's a blowout, we wouldn't see him at the end of the game. We saw that last night. The Raptors lost by, I think it was like close to 30 points to the Suns. Raptor starters didn't end up playing at the end of the game. So that went for Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett. So we could feel pretty good that neither of them would end up playing in a blowout game script. And then for Brooklyn and Portland, we could go under 6.5 assists for Denny Avdia, another guy who wouldn't be playing in a blowout. And then we could also go Scoot Henderson over 1.5 threes. That's somebody who would be on the floor more in a blowout. So that's certainly something that we could end up considering for a blowout game script as well. Now let's just check to make sure this works with the same game parlay plus over on DraftKings. So it would be Scotty Barnes under 5.5 assists. Then RJ Barrett under 3.5 assists. And then for the Blazers game, we've got here, it was under 6.5 assists for Denny Avdia. And I'll post this one details afterwards also. And then over 1.5 threes for Scoot Henderson, which is at minus 127. Yeah, all these lines are available. And yeah, it works with the SGP plus. Let's see how much money they let me put on this. 88 cents. Sick. All right, so we got a cool 88 cents on it. And with the boost, it worked out to be plus 1336. And if you look at our odds here, we have the fair odds. Let's see, we have it with a 12.23% win rate. And what does that convert to? That converts to fair odds of plus 718. So we got plus 1336 on a bet that we're projecting with a... so really, really good value here. Wish I could have put more than 88 cents on it. But what can you do? I can't control that part. But I'll put this up to tails right now for you guys. So that'll be the easiest way for you to track it. And then I'm going to go back over to the projections here because that's probably going to be updated now for the Memphis starting lineup. It just did come through. We don't have ownership yet, but we do have player projections. So while I post this to Tails, let's get the Grizzlies projections up here on screen. Let's see, how in line is this with what I was anticipating before? Walter Clayton, yep. We took him down by a minute and change. They got Walter Clayton to 22.69 fantasy points. And then Ryan Rupert in the starting lineup. We project him for 28 minutes and change now, but that still is him sub 20 fantasy points because he is such a poor fantasy producer. Nothing here that's all that surprising. The number one takeaway here should be that if you had a good amount of exposure to Walter Clayton, you probably he's not unplayable, right? 22.69 fantasy points at 4,200. He's still an okay option, but it's definitely not as good of an option as when we had him projected to start. So if you had a bunch of exposure to him, probably tamper that down a little bit. And then one other thing to consider as well, if you're playing like single entry and you played Walter Clayton before, he's definitely not somebody I'd want to play in a single entry lineup. Okay, and the bet is going up on Tails right now. And posted. Should be going through in a second. All right, let's see if we have anything else here. Did any other news come out while I was building that out here? We got a couple of starting lineups. We've got from the Houston Rockets, Reed Shepherd, Amen Thompson, Kevin Durant, Jabari Smith, and Alperen Şengün. And then from the Chicago Bulls, we got the Bulls starting lineup, Trey Jones, Colin Sexton, Josh Giddey, Matas Buzelis, and Nick Richards. So we've got the triple guard backcourt for today for the Chicago Bulls. And then also for Chicago, as far as just other general things, just so you guys know, we do still have no Jaden Ivey, no Anthony Simons. They are both out. Jeff Williams left us a super chat here. He wants to know as a 2v2, Kuminga and Harkless or Gay and Sensabaugh? Okay. So Kuminga and Harkless or Mo Gay and Sensabaugh. That is going to be the former for me. Give me Jonathan Kuminga and Mo Harkless. Sorry, not Mo. EJ Harkless. EJ Harkless. Let's see if there's any other questions here. And we've got... my notifications aren't working right now in Discord, so I'm going to have to look for them manually. But nothing else here. All right, so let's start doing some late swaps then. I'm also going to refresh this so we get the most recent ownership up here on screen. And then I'll sort by ownership so you guys can see who we now have projected as the most popular players on the slate. Just so we have something for you guys to look at while I go ahead and start doing my late swaps here. By the way, letting you guys know, Sandro Mamakuvaliashvili, I had him on my last run in 100% of lineups. So I should still have a pretty good amount of him as I update everything, but there's no way I could get more of him. I could only get marginally less. But I think he is a chalk option that's very much warranted today, with there being no Jakob Poeltl. And then potentially no Colin Murray-Boyles. He's still listed as questionable. No updates there as of now. Mincash Merchant, what books am I not limited on? / how do I manage a books you are limited? I'm limited everywhere. The one that is most favorable for rec limits is FanDuel, because even if you are limited on FanDuel, they'll usually let you bet like at a minimum $20 on some props, maybe up to $50, maybe close to games, close to $100. So at least it's not $0. But the other thing to consider too, depending where you live, exchanges. Like Kalshi, for instance, or if you could use ProfitX or Novig, I don't have access to those in New Jersey because they just don't operate. But Kalshi is one that does operate in New Jersey. I really enjoy the prediction markets and the exchanges. Those you're not going to have to worry about any kind of limits. I mean, the only limits are just, what kind of liquidity could you get matched? But to me, that's the answer. But as far as rec books go, yeah, I mean, I could bet $2 at a time, $3 at a time. And if I'm volume betting using the tools over at, say, like OddShop or something like that, I could still make a decent amount of money over the course. I mean, decent is relative. I could make maybe like $10,000 if I was just betting like $2-3 bets and really grinding them using Odd Shopper. But yeah, otherwise the way I manage it is just if I was going really hard, it would be volume betting on all of those books. But yeah, limits are going to be somewhat inevitable in 2026 if you're using rec books and you're a profitable bettor. And let's see. Apparently my link to the bet. No, it should be working. Somebody replied to me on Tails and said that the link wasn't working there. Is Onyx down? So another one, I can't use Onyx from New Jersey. So I'm not sure on that. I can't check Onyx. So I don't know. Yeah. Aaron saying this too. Okay, so it appears, yeah, Mike saying, yeah, so anybody who uses Onyx, it appears that Onyx is just down right now. Yeah, Aaron's got the solution. If you never want to be limited at sports betting, just lose money and be bad at it. You never have to worry about limits. That is one angle. That is one way you could go about approaching it. It's not the angle that I choose, but it is one you could go down. Yeah, the tail, I just checked. The Tails link is there now. Tails link is there. Sometimes it'll take a minute or two to map it, but it's there now. All right. Let's see. Is there anything I'm not... oh, we just got another projections update. So I'm going to restart the late swap here just to make sure I have this incorporated. Let's see. Did anything change with Memphis in this update? Let's go back here. No, Memphis still looking pretty much the same. Probably just some like minor alterations that Rich ended up making on the projections here. Well, Aaron, that is better than the alternative, up $200 lifetime. I mean, you're doing better than like 98% of people if you're up. Pierre, FanDuel for $6,200. Last guy in, point guard, shooting guard, or small forward positions only. Yes, let's go ahead and look at this. All right, so he's got... Oh, Rich saying, okay, it was for the Chicago and Houston starting lineups. Got it. All right, so we've got here $6,200 for a last man in. Let's look at some projections. Who fits the bill? I'll give you two options in case you already have the first one. Oh, actually, you know what? I like this one quite a bit. Go with DeAnthony Melton. Melton already looks like a pretty solid option over on FanDuel. And then if Moses Moody ends up being out, then Melton would look really good. That's the answer there. Go with Melton. Melton should be your guy, Pierre. Russ Cole saying Chet's stat line. What is Chet's stat line? He is 5 points aboard, 2 assists, 3 blocks. Pretty solid start. Especially over on FanDuel. It's a crazy start because of the extra fantasy points for the block bonus. On DraftKings, it's solid. Nothing slate breaking, but definitely solid. You're happy if you played him so far. Yeah, Larry, good shout out to putting in the chat that the Sims are updated with ownership. These are facts. Yeah, so I am uploading everything to run right now since we've got the updated projections, the updated ownership from Rich. This is taking into account the most recent, starting lineups and whatnot. Nicholas Barrett, chat stat line 18 times better than Carter. Effect, how is Melton on DraftKings? I like Melton a lot for today. It's I shouldn't say only, but a large reason why is just Melton being not Melton, Moody being questionable. That could be a tremendous benefit to DeAnthony Melton's projection later on in the day. If Moody gets ruled out, I'll guarantee Melton's going to be the most under-owned players on the slate. If there is no Moses Moody today, if you guys look at the post-contest Sims that we have at Stochastic tomorrow, Milton's going to be one of the top-rated players on the slate. So hopefully the news breaks that way. I think it's even if Moody plays, it's not the end of the world if he played Melton, but I think the potential upside there makes it very, very worthwhile. Arcathelza, Boncaro, and Bain sucks. Haven't looked at their stat lines. I presume they're probably not good based on your feedback on their performances right there. All right. Let's get these lineups uploaded. I don't think that much is going to change for me. It's like some minor tweaks in player exposures. The main one for me is just getting Walter Clayton out of some lineups. I had like 15% of Walter Clayton before, and that's going by the wayside now. Nothing else changing all that much for me, it doesn't look like. Chia saying Jared McCain is 2 for 2. McCain was a nice pickup for OKC. They had to give up basically nothing for him. And Daryl Morey still insists that it was a good trade for the 76ers for some reason. How much gay am I getting on FanDuel? I only played DraftKings today, so I couldn't tell you. Make sure that there was no other questions that were missed here before we get to this next lock in 3 minutes. Rabashua, if Murray Boyles is in and starting, do you direct swap to him on FanDuel or do you keep your exposure to Mamu? So I have 100% of Mamu. In the event that Mamu comes off the bench and Colin Murray Boyles starts, I wouldn't still have 100% of Mamu Kavalishvili. I would still like him a lot, but I only have one direction to go with him, and that would be down. So, yeah, it would lower him marginally for me. He'd still be my most rostered player. But, yeah, I would have less of him in that case. Also, did I upload the right projections here? Did I do this properly? There we go. All right. I'm racing against the clock. I took a little bit too much time there. Should be okay, though. Yeah, I mean, this point too, Iron Mike saying at $3,500 who doesn't start, Mamu probably a lock, even if he only plays 18 minutes. Yeah, like I still think even if he comes off the bench, I think Mamu's the best play on the slate. I just wouldn't have 100% of him if he comes off the bench. That's really my only point here, which isn't, like really saying all that much. All right, so yeah, this update that I just did, I went down to 4% of Walter Clayton and uploading these right now. I'm cool with 4% of Walter Clayton. That's a reasonable amount. EMAC, pressure makes diamond. So here's the other part too about kind of running up against the clock for DFS purposes. 2 minutes could be forever. That's enough time to do a lot in the late swap tool. Kapanikella for single entry, Brandon Ingram and Gary Payton II, or Chandler and Filipowski on DraftKings, of course, could swap up to, Harkless over Chandler. Go Harkless and Filipowski. Yeah, go Harkless and Filipowski there. Harkless is one of the top value options on the slate. All right, let's see if there's any other questions here. If not, we'll go ahead and we'll build out another parlay. Also check really quick to see if there's any good live bets right now. Let's check that. Let's look at the in-game projections. What do we have here? This looks like We've got kind of interesting bet here. If you guys could bet Tristan Da Silva over 4.5 rebounds is plus 130 on BetMGM. It's minus 140 on FanDuel, minus 130 on DraftKings. So we're looking for a quick plus EV bet while that game is going on right now. If you could get in, that one looks pretty good. So we got Tristan Da Silva over 4.5 rebounds. Here's one as well. Justin Edwards over 2.5 rebounds. That's plus 175 on BetMGM compared to like minus 109 on Caesars. Plus 105 on DraftKings. That looks a little bit too wide. So just a couple of quick live bets. Let's go back to building out a parlay here. Yeah, let's answer this. A macro question. All right. Let's see what we've got here from a name no one cares about. Is there a percentage of exposure the Sims give where like maybe I won't boost someone I like? What do you mean? Like if one player you have in 60% of lineups, you just, the answer to your question, number one, I'm not exactly sure the context you made it in, but like I would change anything. Say the Sims give 35%, they're 33% owned. It wouldn't change anything for me. I'd be cool with that. But yeah, like if I think that something's a really good option and I want to have, like, I have 100% of Mamu in my last set of lineups. By the way, we just found out that Colin Murray-Boyles is in. He's available to play today. So we'll see what that starting lineup ends up looking like. Let's see. Kevin, how much is the prop tool? Oh, so one thing I will tell you, if you guys do sign up for the prop tool or any of the other packages we have at Stochastic, you can get 15% off with the promo code NBA LBL. Prop tool is with the discount, I think it works out to like $29 a week, something like that. So if you want to go check it out for a week and use the NBA LBL discount and determine if it's something you like, and then hopefully make some money with it and it just pays for itself. I need a better way to word your question. So I think most likely the answer is I'm still willing to boost them. Like there could be a guy who's 98% owned who I'm like, I just want to play him in all my lineups. I'll play them in 100%. John Daly, Eric's Nuke is toast. What did he go with? He went with Trace Jackson Davis, correct? Wasn't that who Eric went with? Trace Jackson Davis? Yeah. John Daly, people will still complain tomorrow. Yeah, probably. Well, I mean, people, probably rightfully so, we're going to complain no matter what. But yeah, don't play Trace Jackson Davis now that Colin Murray-Boyles is in. Trace Jackson Davis is, by the way, if people weren't aware, which is possible, people weren't even hip to this, Trace Jackson Davis is on the Raptors. He's not on the Warriors now. And the reason there was a potential angle for Trace Jackson Davis is, let's say the Colin Murray-Boyles was out, Trace Jackson Davis could have been projected for like 20 minutes. And there also could have been a possibility, what if Mamu Kavalishvili gets into foul trouble? Like I thought Trace Jackson Davis, if Colin Murray-Boyles was out, was a very viable GPP option, but you know, less so. But I do encourage you guys to just troll Eric in chat anyway. Whatever happens to Trace Jackson Davis, just give him shit about it. He'll appreciate it. Tell him I sent you. Yeah. Eric is telling people to pivot. It's not what you said on the show, buddy. Trace Jackson Davis it is. Going back into Discord really quick to see if anything came up for questions. And nothing else. So let's build out one more parlay here on DraftKings. And for this one, I don't think there's any kind of restrictions. I think it just has to be plus 300, but it doesn't have to be like 3 legs, 4 legs, or anything like that. Just anything plus 300. And I think that works for any parlay boost. Let me double check to make sure that's correct though. The rules here, it is a 30% all-purpose boost, max $5. You're not going to let me put $5 on it, though, are you? You won't, but it says max of $5. The min is whatever the hell they want it to be. Offer valid on all sports, single parlay, min total odds plus 300. Cool. All right, let's refresh this now. Let's make sure these are all updated. It is. And let's just see what projects well on the board. And we just build something out with whatever projects the best. Let's clear this first. All right, so we've got Ryan Rollins over 2.5 threes. So Ryan Rollins plus 124 here. Very high EV rating for us. We've got this 23.6. I am curious if we just take, because they're both plus money bets, if we just take the two top projected bets here, which are both 3-point overs, over 1.5 threes for Sexton, over 2.5 threes for Ryan Rollins. I'm curious, does that work to get to better than plus 300? Because the odds here, I assume, would be really favorable with the boost. Because we've got this with a win rate of 30.25%. 30.25 would mean fair odds of plus 231. See how this looks. So over 2.5 threes, that's still available for Rollins. It is. For what it's worth, the over-under on 2.5 threes, it's much better than it is the 2+ threes market. The 2+ threes market is plus 121 for Rollins. The over 2.5 is plus 124. It's the same bet, just you're getting better odds on the other one. So just take the one with better odds. And then for the other bet here, we've got Colin Sexton for over 1.5 threes. Is that still available at plus 119? It is not. Yeah, that bet is off the board. So we're going to have to delete this one. Let's refresh this. See if this is, yeah, there we go. Sexton bet is gone now. So let's find something else instead. We've got Josh Giddey under 9.5 assists. I do think this starting lineup for the Bulls doesn't really lend itself all that well to assists for Josh Giddey, just because it's so many guys who can handle the ball on the court at the same time. We've got a 3-point guard lineup. Oh, did we just get another updated starting lineup for the Bulls? We did. So initially, the Bulls had reported that it was, okay, so this changes some stuff. Sexton was expected to start, but he's not starting anymore. They changed their starting lineup. Now it's Trey Jones, Josh Giddey, Matas Buzelis, Jalen Smith, Nick Richards. Okay. My bad. Starting lineup changed. It's a different look now. It is not the 3-guard starting lineup. Interesting. Here's one thing I do like, though. Now that it looks like the Bulls are going to be playing a bigger lineup, let's go with Nick Richards. Same game, over 6.5 rebounds. Is that still available to us? It is. And that also gets us to plus 333. So we could use the boost. DraftKings let me bet $2.24 on this one. And 33.12% win odds for this. So fair odds, according to our projections, are plus 202. And with the boost, we're getting it at plus 433. So it looks pretty favorable there. Lorette here wants to know, is there anybody I could swap for Trace Jackson Davis for 4K with all my other players locked? Let's look at the projections here. So you need a 4K player. Hopefully in the flex spot where you have more flexibility. But let's see who's projecting best of all the remaining guys here. For 4K and under. Let's see. So we've got Jamal Shed is $3,400. I'd probably go with, honestly, I go with Giroux here, right at 4K. Minutes are certainly a little bit uncertain, but Giroux looked like a pretty good fantasy producer when he's been on the court. We've seen some ceiling from him. I say go with Giroux at 4K. Oh, he said 3K. Okay. 3K flat? 3K flat. That's going to be a little tougher. I was hoping you just had a bunch of extra salary to play with. Now I'm going to have to really dig through our projections, because off the top of my head, I have no clue. I do know this. The option's not going to be good. It's not going to be a very appealing option. Let's keep scrolling. Here's our best projected. Oh, no, this doesn't even work because Martin's already locked. He also, but this is going to be tough sledding because we've only got 3 games left to choose from. Houston, Chicago, Toronto, Utah, Golden State, Dallas. I don't like it, but the best projected one here, Grady Dick. Here's the case I can make for Grady Dick. Let's say the game's a blowout. Grady Dick would play in garbage time. It's also the tail end of a back-to-back for Toronto. This is an extremely thin play. I think Grady Dick is he's not a good option at all, but he's basically all you have to choose from. So I say Grady Dick. Grady Dick can hope for the best. See if there's any other questions here. If not, that might be it for the night, guys. Yeah, nothing else here. I guess we'll wait for... Actually, we're probably not even going to... The Toronto starting lineup probably isn't coming out anytime soon. Do you guys have any other questions for me? Let's check chat. If you guys got questions, I'll stick around and answer them. If not, we'll wrap it up. Fading Luka isn't looking favorable. How good is Luka's start? I haven't looked much at the scores yet for this slate. We've got... Chet has no fantasy points since we read off his stat line earlier. Ooh. Yeah, Luka... Actually, Luka's going well, but it's not like insane because he doesn't have any assists. 17 points, 2 rebounds, a steal. Yeah, for his price point, like, yeah, he's somebody who I've got 20% of Luka for what it's worth, but I don't look at that and be like, oh, you have to have Luka. Like, Luka's playing certainly well from a fantasy perspective, but it's nothing too crazy. If he had a few assists in the first quarter, it'd be a different story. But like, he's not positioned himself well to get the double bonus or the triple-double bonus or anything. I didn't see anything about Luka being hurt. Did he get hurt? Let me see. Let me check the Twitters. Did Underdog tweet anything? I don't see anything about... I'm not saying it's impossible. I just don't see anything about Luka being hurt. Emotionally? All right. Well, guys, that is going to do it for us. If you have not done yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. One thing to be on the lookout for, in an hour and 15 minutes, the Toronto Raptors game is tipping off. So we should have it starting lineup maybe like 45 minutes from now. I presume it's going to be Mamu starting at center, but you never know. They could end up doing something different. In our projections, by the way, we do have Mamu coming off the bench. So now that we do have Colin Murray-Boyles ruled in, it is worth noting. So, like, I personally think Mamu is going to start, but that's not what we're projecting in our data right now. So if you do see Mamu coming off the bench, it doesn't mean that he's like unplayable or anything. That's already what we are projecting. But we'll see what ends up happening there. So be on the lookout for that starting lineup there. Yeah, John Daly, imagine Trace Jackson Davis starts. That would be pretty funny. But if you guys want to sign up for the props tool, if you want to sign up for Odd Chopper, any of the packages at Stochastic, you can use that promo code NBALBL, and it'll get you 15% off anything. We've got baseball starting this week, so we should have, whenever there's a little bit more, we're really just waiting right now on sportsbooks to post the totals and some props for the games. And then we should have our MLB tools up a little bit after that. So be on the lookout for that as well. Other than that, guys, good luck with all your lineups today. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Good night, guys.